Hey guys, welcome back to my old tractor shed. We're playing in here again today. My goal for today is to get the top of the transmission off, and this little selector here is the lever that engages and disengages the PTO. I think I'm going to take that off. I'm not going to take the mechanism off, but it looks to me like I just take these two bolts off and then get that off. That way I can paint behind it a little nicer. That strainer goes in there. And then that line comes up and feeds into here, and looking at the pictures, it feeds into a little tiny gear pump that lubricates the transmission. I don't know if I can get at it. If I can, I think I'd like to take it off and clean it as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to though. I had the top of this transmission off 2-3 months ago. One of the selectors was seized up. I couldn't change the gear. Took it off. It turned out it was right up here in the top. A little bit of joy juice and a little persuasion with a rubber tapometer, and I got it working just fine. I remember looking in there and the gears and everything looked good, but of course at the time I wasn't looking for any kind of a pump. And I remember seeing a whole pile of silicone there. So I want to make a new gasket for the top. Not that the oil is going to leak from there, but of course water could potentially get down inside there. So I want to take that off to do that. And then I'm going to try and flush out some of that crud and corruption out of the bottom. I did lift this up again, and I relocated my blocks. Probably didn't mention that last time. Jacking it up, the tractor wants to do some funny stuff. Take a couple of wedges and drive 2 wedges in the front, because of course the whole body of the tractor wants to pivot on that front axle. So my father-in-law told me that. He said, drive a couple wedges in there, make your life a whole lot easier. And then I just very carefully built some cribbing back here. I'm out of big blocks, but anyway, I had some 3x3s, I think it was. I made some cribbing, put the hydraulic jack, whatever that jack is, good size jack, lifted it up, moved the blocks back. So now I can access both the drain plugs. Currently I got the back drain plug out. Anyway, let's get that apart. I don't know what I'm going to be able to get at in there, but we're going to try. Let's take this off. Coffee can. What I like with these coffee cans as well is I can take a piece of painter's tape and write on there, gear selector, and just throw a piece of tape on there, painter's tape. It won't stay forever, but it definitely stays long enough for what I need to do. Now, I did have this off, so I don't expect it's free. Where's that close-up camera? Little tiny bit of gasket material left here, but it's broken and buggered up. I had cleaned it. That time I had it off, and there was an awful pile of blue silicone. Very reminiscent of the silicone that's on the PTO things. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to take this apart. I don't know if I can. Oh, yeah, I see how. Anyway, I think I'm just going to clean this up and paint it, and then I'm going to make a new gasket. I can see already it's going to be a hard time getting at that gear pump. Let me get rid of this. Take that over to the painting table. Oh dear. All right, well, I've had a good long look down in there, and I can't even see this pump. So I don't think I'm going to worry too much about that. So I've got the drain plug out back there, and there is another drain plug under this, but there's a passageway for the oil to get from the gearbox back to the final drive. So I think I'm going to try and just clean it through there. I can get down in here with a brush, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get down in here at all. Maybe, but it doesn't look too bad down there. I got the close-up camera going, but there's no way in the world I'm going to get the camera down there. I'd like to use some environmentally friendly, biodegradable solvent of some sort. And I used to have this stuff that was made out of unicorn piss and fairy farts, but I'm completely out of that. So I think I'm just going to use a little wee bit of dicel and see what I can do with that. I'm going to just try and pour it down in here and see if it runs through. And then I can always get a brush and work back here. But just do the best we can, that's all. I was down in here, I've got one of those cameras on the end of a scope type thing, and I can see that there's a passageway. The shaft that comes back through for the PTO comes through, it's open there, but I'm guessing just pouring some in and nothing's coming back here. Probably needs to be up quite a bit, and I don't want to put that much diesel in there. I think I'm going to take the other drain plug out and try and flush there, and then I'll just, well, I lie, she's coming through, I guess. Oh yeah, it's coming around. It's coming around the sides. There's two webs there. So really there's three compartments. There's a large one in the center where the drain plug is. And it's coming around there now. I'm going to get a brush and work that a little bit. Welcome back, guys. It's the next day. Yesterday when I pulled the top off and started cleaning, it wasn't very long. I think I had the top off for a minute, and I saw a gear in there that's got a little issue. I hadn't noticed it the last time I had the top off, but I really wasn't looking all that close. When I took the top off last time, one of those selectors was stuck, and I freed that up, had a quick glance in there, cleaned up some silicone, put it back together. Yesterday when I started cleaning, I got some pictures and some stuff I'll show you here in a second, but somebody has attempted to weld one of the gears to shaft. There's a snap ring in there. Maybe I'll include an image from the parts manual right now. I've got it highlighted in red. I think it's snap ring 5, I think it is. It ain't in there. Well, there's a piece. I think there's a piece in there. I was taking some pictures this morning. Somewhere along the line, that broke on somebody. You know, am I upset that whoever did that? Well, no, not really. You know, I have no idea how many owners this tractor has had. I can imagine back in the day, somebody was trying to get crop off a field. Maybe this was their primary tractor. That snap ring broke, and I think what happens then is that gear, I think they called that an intermediate shaft. That gear would slide back, and I'm not exactly sure. You'd lose a couple gears. Looking through the manual last night, they want you to split the transmission off the intermediate housing, and it has to be kept perfectly level. You can't let it drop because there's a shaft that goes all the way through there, and they want you to roll it back. Of course, it would have the axles and the wheels on. Then they actually want you to split between the transmission and the final drive. Same thing. The PTO shaft goes from back here, actually goes up to about 4 inches shy of this, and this tractor would have had the option for a front PTO. It doesn't have that, but the shaft goes all the way through. So, hey, what's sticking through here? 16 or 18 inches. You got to keep everything perfectly level. If that had broke on you and you were trying to get whatever, crop off the field before the weather turned shitty, I could see a guy getting tempted just to reach in there and weld that. The weld is broken, of course. Hardened shaft and probably a cast. I don't know. The weld hasn't held. I tried to get one of those cameras in here this morning 2 or 3 times. Can't get it to focus. So I grabbed my Canon still image, and I got a close-up lens. I took a pile of photographs before I got one that's in focus. One of the ones I'll insert right here, you can actually see, looks to me like a little wee piece of the circlip that would have run around there. And then there's a second image, so I'll put it right about here. Just a chunk of weld, and you can see the gear has moved away from that weld. So they didn't have the gear pushed up tight. There's a circlip on either side of that gear. And when they welded it, they didn't have the gear pushed tight against the front circlip. It must have been back a little bit, and they welded it. Well, of course, it the weld's broken, the gear has moved forward. Not a good situation. You know, my wife and I were discussing it last night. This old girl here, she's never going back to work. I have a new tractor. I've mentioned that already. This is just a toy for me. I mean, if I get my big tractor stuck, yeah, I'll probably use this to try and pull it out. But it's not going back to work in the field. So on the one hand, it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't worry about it. But on the other hand, there's a few little tractor parades around here in the summertime. I could see me maybe wanting to take this to that. Sure, it would be embarrassing driving down to a tractor parade and having the transmission lock up. And I want to fix it, you know. It doesn't matter. I got all the time in the world. Because I've already been at this for a couple years. So I studied up the book last night. I think what I'm going to try and do, I got to jack it back up again. I'll move these blacks forward, and then I'm going to use that hand crank forklift, and I'm going to try and separate this away. I'm going to disconnect the PTO shaft at the back. Looking in the book, that shaft is supported with a bearing back here and a bearing way up here near the front, and it's a pretty good sized shaft. They show a special little bracket to support that. So I got to think a little wee bit about that. But I think that's what I'm going to do. It'll make it easier to clean. Plus, so I can see a piece of that circlip, snap ring, whatever you want to call it there, but the other piece is gone. I would like to look down on the bottom of that transmission, see if I can find that. Also, I really want to look at that hydraulic pump that's down in there. Well, I'm probably going to get an opportunity to do that now. But before I do this, I'm not sure if it showed up in any of the other videos. On the other side, I got a little temporary table made over there for parts. And behind the camera over here, on my hoist, I got a sheet of plywood. And I'm accumulating quite a pile of parts here. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to clean up that table over there. And I'm going to build a couple more shelves there. And then some of these things like the brake pieces and that parking brake and a few other things, I'm kind of going to reassemble some of these sub-assemblies and just get them over there on the shelf, because this tractor ain't going back together anytime soon. That's for darn sure. Like I said, I have tons of photographs, but it is nicer if you kind of keep the pieces together while it's semi-fresh in your head. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build some shelves, move these parts, and then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to pull that apart. I think I'm going to study the manual a little bit more. I spent a little time last night reading. So I think we'll leave it here. Thank you. If you enjoy my videos, consider subscribing. Click the little bell so you know when I post new videos. If you want to help me out at all, share it, click the like, leave some comments. You know the drill. If you don't, well, thanks for watching anyway. It's cool. I appreciate it. So you guys take care, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.